going on, Jerome's? It's time for the glorious Wednesday morning Minnesota Fighting Vikings news dump. Now, would have had this out earlier or up at 4 a.m. per usual, but Daddy sort of had to sleep. It's been sort of a busy week. Anyways, a lot to get to. First up, Halloween went down on Tuesday. It's really sad that they schedule Halloween on NFL trade deadline day. Just mishmashing holidays. But the Vikings had a Halloween party gathering, and the great Janae Johnson put together some great picks. Plus, I think so. The two winners, Justin Jefferson. I mean, that's a great costume, man. So you got the blow-up alien abducting a miniature version of Justin Jefferson. Looks fantastic. Also, you notice how he's standing. Hamstring good to go. We'll get into that in a sec. But I think that the winner of the costume contest, had to be Dalton Reisner. Come on up for the Reisner. New Vikings left guard. Do you think Ezra Cleveland went to the Halloween party? Or do you think that he was on a plane to Jacksonville? Because, they got practice today. Anyways, Dalton Reisner, new Vikings left guard, hopefully future Vikings left guard, re-sign him. He and his lovely significant other did up the Joe Dirt. It's Dirte. That's a fantastic costume, man. I love it. Life's a garden. Dig it. Speaking of other Halloween costumes, so Taylor Heinicke, who was the Falcons' backup and looks to be the Falcons' starter on Sunday against the Vikings, his former team, did up a deer in headlights. Happy Halloween with his significant other. Now, a lot of people got mad about this. I don't know why. Right, because it's like, oh, this, that, or the other thing. Like, there's people getting dressed up as like sexy or slutty actuaries. So yeah, just Halloween's fine. Halloween's fine. People need to stop complaining about things. But also, that's a good impression of what that Vikings defensive line is going to do to Taylor Heinicke on Sunday. Woo! That's right. Or Desmond Ridder. I don't care. I honestly don't care. I think the Vikings defense is going to carry the day. And Jaron Hall, rising on up to the east side, finally got a piece of the pie. I actually think Jaron Hall is going to be good, man. Also, I'm pretty sure I've explained this, but have I ever explained my Taylor Heinicke theory? All right, so first off, Heinicke getting dressed up as a deer should have gone as a broken door. So my Heinicke theory. So people remember in 2016, that was the year that Teddy and his knee, unfortunately, like socially distanced from each other in training camp. Right. That's when the Vikings traded for Sam Bradford. That's when the Vikings started at 5-0, 6-0, and then they ended up 8-8. Kind of rough. I think it's 5-0. And then it was 5-0. And then the Vikings had traded a first-round pick for Sam Bradford. That went to Philly, and the Vikings got Dalvin second round, yada, 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 yada. They ended up number 14 overall, going 8-8. But Taylor Heinicke, you remember, was Teddy's backup heading into training camp. And Heinicke had impressed the pride of Old Dominion the previous year. He looked like he potentially could have been the quarterback too, but then he had the glass door incident and then just down the drain. So the Vikings felt like they had to go out and get Sam Bradford. But I have a theory that if Heinicke had stayed healthy and had a good training camp and preseason, and Teddy's injury still happened, they plug and play a Heinicke. The Vikings end up 6-10. 6-10 would have got you the number 10 overall pick that year, and the Vikings would have ended up in 2017 with Patrick Mahomes. So we have Taylor Heinicke to thank for not having Patrick Mahomes. That's all, man. The NFL trade deadline also went down. And a bunch of moves went down, starting off at the bottom. Now we're here. Kevin Byard going to the Eagles. How does Howie Roseman just keep getting away with things? I don't know. Just adding another former All-Pro. Leonard Williams going to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, part of this is a salary dump. Well, it's not even a salary dump because the Giants are eating it. They basically just wanted to get draft capital. But for a 2 and a 5, that's a hell of a get, man. Like Leonard Williams, even though it hasn't worked out with the Giants, Leonard Williams could play, man. Kentavious Street, the defensive tackle, going from the Eagles to the Falcons. We'll see him on Sunday. And then Montez Sweat going from the Commies to the Bears. Now, the Bears screwed this up in a number of ways. Number one, they gave up a 2, and Chase Young went to the Niners for a 3. Chase Young is markedly a better player with higher potential, even though, don't get me wrong, Montez Sweat is fine. But also, they didn't extend him long term. And it would have been fine if they would have made this trade with an extension in hand, but they don't have that. Now they could say it's like, oh, they'll work out an extension. Well, there's nothing guaranteed. And also, Sweat and his agent now have all the leverage because otherwise the Bears will look like idiots. That's sort of a given with Poles and Eberflus. Who knows? But that's something to watch going forward is that I mean, Montez Sweat is going to get all the money because they have all the leverage right now. It's crazy, man. Vikings getting Josh Dobbs, who had started the first 8 games of the Cardinals season. Played well given the circumstances, and the Vikings got him for, they sent a 6, and they got a 7th back. And the 7th could become a 6 if Dobbs doesn't play. So, I mean, it's no muss, no fuss. Vikings got a 6 for Ezra. I like Ezra a lot, but, I mean, Dalton Reisner potentially is the future here at left guard. And Ezra, I mean, you get paid more if you play tackle, man. And Ezra played fine at guard, but he's a tackle. He's a left tackle at heart, man. Chase Young to the Niners. That's just gross. I mean, it's just gross, but also if and when the Vikings face the Niners in the playoffs, Darissa and O'Neal will shut down Chase Young and Bosa. No problem. DPJ, the former Michigan Wolverine, heads back to, and Michigan native, heads back to Detroit. Now, a lot of people thought that, hey, after they traded for DPJ, they're going to trade Jameson Williams. Be kind of funny. Then Rasul Douglas, who is the Packers' #1 corner. So the Packers cornerback power rankings: Rasul Douglas, Stokes, Nixon, Najjar, face. But the Bills definitely need with some secondary help. They get a 3rd and a 5th, I believe it was. But overall, it's a good deal for the Bills, and the Packers are just completely mailing this one in. You hate to see it. Something you also hate to see. So everyone knew that this was coming, but just sucks when you see it actually officially transact. So the Vikings placed Kirk Cousins on season-ending injured reserve, and it just stinks, man. Especially since Kirko played one hell of a ball game against the Packers, and he was really crescendoing and was playing at an MVP level, and a major reason why the Vikings had won 3 in a row without Justin Jefferson. It's tough. It's just tough, man. But speaking of Justin Jefferson, so, Vikes fan page. Justin Jefferson expected to come back sooner rather than later, Rap Sheet mentioned on NFL Network. Jefferson is eligible to be activated off IR for Week 10's matchup against the Saints. And you know that JJ wants to get out there against the Saints because, he's basically Lattimore's father. So, love to see that. But get him back to 100%. And in terms of having JJ and Kirk Cousins on injured reserve right now in the middle of the season, I feel pretty damn good about this team. The defense is there. Addison is a star. Hockenson got his head out of his ass. The offensive line is rolling. So, I mean, it's not impossible. It ain't, man. Also not impossible is Josh Dobbs. So he put out a great tweet. Going to be an incredible story to tell. Rocket ship and also astronaut emoji. Of course, Josh Dobbs being an aerospace engineer. He's literally a rocket scientist, but a little bit of a thanks to his time in Arizona. But now he's got a great opportunity here in Minnesota. Now, obviously, option 1, Jaron Hall is that stud, but I think the Vikings picked up a great fallback option in Josh Dobbs. I trust him a lot more than Sean Mannion. And even if and when Nick Mullins is fully healthy, I think Dobbs has more upside than Mullins, frankly. And also, I can't wait. So again, hopefully Josh Dobbs never sees the field because Jaron Hall is that dude. But if Josh Dobbs gets in and has his first turnover, it's fitting that he's an astronaut because Vikings fans will want to launch him into outer space. There you go. Also, into the stratosphere is Danielle Hunter's contract demands. Well, they should be, and deservedly so. So, NFL sack leaders, Danielle up at the top at 10. Josh Allen, the good one, has 9 sacks. Thibodeau getting it on. 8.5 sacks, was greatly boosted by his 3-sack performance against the Jets. Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt, of course, are dogs at 8.5. So, I mean, Danielle, he's proven that he's healthy. He's proven that he's Offensive Player of the Year candidate. He's proven that he's that guy. Also, that guy is Jordan Addison. Hey, just like everyone expected, a Viking is near the top of the receiving touchdowns list. But Jordan Addison, not enough gets said about this. 7 touchdowns in 8 games is friggin' unbelievable, and especially since he didn't really get the time of day the first couple games. But all Jordan Addison does is catch touchdowns. He's got a great nose for the end zone. And when JJ gets back, they're going to be the best wide receiver duo in the National Football League. All respect to Tyreek and Waddle, but give me a fully healthy JJ and Jordan Addison all day long. But that's it. That's at NFL or whatever Vikings news up for Wednesday. You guys are the best. Skull, production value.